Make sure I'm muted this time. Hello, hello. I'm gonna be throwing up my I don't know, Mastodon build number 300. It feels like, but no, my current Mastodon Goliath Humpback build. So beauty. This one, the one I use in Clan Wars currently. I kind of just felt like throwing it. I wanted to throw up a build, and then I asked if anyone had a preference, and they chose this. So yeah, this is the one at the minute I'm gonna chuck up. Plus, it's not so bad because I'm the only one in my clan who runs this at the moment, so I don't feel like shitty about it. So I can throw this up and not feel too bad. And yeah, same thing as usual. I will go through the build in reverse, how it was built, talk about various crap. That's probably pointless, but I thought I screwed the entire thing up then. Nope, there we go. There we go. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, go through my fusions on tracks. The Goliath is for less mass and less power, which is very nice if you can get that done. So I would advise it. Plus, Goliaths aren't too expensive at the minute. The less mass is pretty nice, but the less power is actually most impactful. Anything you can get for less power is pretty good. 9% might not seem like much, but it does add up quickly. Plus, devs, you've cocked up with the maths on this Goliath fusion for some reason. It's 70% base, and if you do 15% less power, that's 10.5, which should put it down to 59 or 60, but you've got 61, which is a bit odd, but yeah, okay. Anyway, hardened tracks, they are one's for less power and less mass, which is perfect. The other one is less mass and surface traction. Couldn't be asked to refuse it for less power, to be honest, for an extra 2%. But the less mass is nice. It saves on 600 kilograms. And I had to scrounge every kilogram of mass I could get for this build. Just armor, but that is to mount the guns on in 2 different parts. It's nice actually because that piece is attached to that, and it's kind of like Doppler, because I have to run Doppler. I get kicked from a clan if I don't run Doppler. Polo, normally you might see I put the Polo build under the carbon, but in this situation it lowers my mass from around 2,900 to 2,600, and I didn't really feel like it was worth it. Whereas currently I kind of like, because it doesn't get popped too often. I won't take the frames or anything, so I like it there for this version, just because I had to scrounge my mass together. Colossus. Okay, Mastodon, as you can see, attached to the spaced armor. It's raised up a square. One of the reasons why this build is so nice, I like it so much, is because it has nice synergy with the hardened tracks. So the hardened tracks help protect a little bit of the bottom of the gun, but most importantly, they protect the spaced armor. So because they protect the spaced armor, I feel very confident on having, you know, a 3-ton relic on top of some really, really small bits of spaced armor. Very rarely does this get shot off, and not the Mastodon. If I lose Mastodons in this build, it will be because the Mastodon is killed by a gun. It will not be because I get a spaced armor shot off. And most of it is because of the hardened track protecting that spaced armor. Because it's on a spaced armor, I can raise it up 1, and that means that punnies and, you know, scorpions, kaijus, it's not easy for them to hit the cab in this thing, which is also very nice. A lot of other Goliath Mastodons, when you mount the guns on the frame, you have a massive weak spot here. And you might see it in some of my punny videos where you'll have like the giant Goliath cohort Mastodon. You know, the thing weighs 28, 29 tons, and the punny just goes around all of the armor you have in the front and just shoots you down cab because you've got a massive weak spot. So yeah, that's why you raise the guns up one, and that is why the hardened tracks is so nice, because they protect the guns, and then the guns protect the cabin. Good old real module, base-based armor, nothing too fancy there. That's just to lock the firing angles in, you know, take a shot. What else? Yeah, so spaced armor here, you have to mount on this, annoyingly, because you can't mount it onto the Goliath. You can only mount on a Goliath on one side, you see, so that side, not that side. So this side you can just mount straight to the Goliath, but this side you need to mount onto that. And it just because space armor is so good, you know, if Scorpion shoots here, for instance, it might eat up a shot, and very little will actually go through to the Mastodon. That's the idea, at least. Just some random armor, that don't matter. There we go. Also random armor. Just to protect my Apollo. I love doing out of all the ammo boxes. If I have one ammo box like I do, because I had to save mass, then other than the ammo box, I attach that piece underneath, and to this is really nice. I guess you're wondering, in terms of, I have everything fused for less mass. All of my legs are fused for less mass. Cabin is, but my guns aren't, because I fused them well before any perfect fusion events. So this is what I have. Projectile speed and damage resistance instead of less mass. So I lose about 850, 900 kilograms. If I had less mass on these, I'd probably save about 850, 900 kilograms, which would go a long way in a build like this. It's a big old chunk. It probably would allow me to have my Apollo underneath, but I can't, so just share about the loo. To be honest, this build is as perfect a Mastodon build as I'm ever going to make. I don't think there's nowhere for me to go with a Mastodon build anymore. With any spider build I can think of that I could build would be better than this. There's nothing I could fuse other than my Mastodons, but that would be a slight improvement. But this is basically the end of the road in terms of how optimized I can get a Mastodon spider. I can't make one better than this. This thing has just an incredibly strong center, basically. It sticks together like shit, honestly. And the spaced armor is just enough. Like, the pieces work out just enough so you can have a lot of spaced armor on the build, and it's nice and tanky. It's got a nice amount of health, you know. I love it. I really do love it. But this is as good a build as I can ever get, which is kind of sad because I can't ever go anywhere. Normally it would be like, oh, you know, if I fuse these legs for less mass, I could get it better. If I fuse this, if I fuse that, but then now I'm just like, yeah, this is it. This is as good as I could get. Spaced armor, also just to lock the fire angles on the side, as you can see. Okay, I clicked it and I don't know what happened. Something changed. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. And that is my build. 2,900 health, and I love it. I really love it. Honestly, this is best spider I've probably ever had, and probably ever will have. Unless they bring out some new guns or anything, but in terms of Mastodon spiders, yeah, you can't pass it up. Biggest downside, I guess, is the lack of mobility. You got the Goliath, obviously, which limits you to 45, but the power in this thing is pretty nice. All of my legs are fused for less mass, but I don't believe many of them have power. So let's have a look. I've got one for less power. I think that's only one, actually. Yeah, alright, 2 for less power out of 8. So you could even get this thing more mobile. And that's for less power, and that's... So I could fuse things for get more power less power drain out of it to make it a bit more mobile, but this is plenty for me. This is actually quite nimble. I never found myself unable to, or get screwed over by not being able to move so much. Only real downside is the 45 limit, but you're just like a mobile guns platform, you know. It'll take you longer to get to the fight, but when you get there, I mean, you got a Humpback, so anyone shoots you, you're going to get a 50% damage boost. You've got a Goliath in the front, you've got 2 hardened tracks, you've got 2 Mastodons that have like 1650 health each. So yeah, it's a good build. It's a really good build. It's an absolute bastard fight, I think. Against things like Scorpions and Panny, good Scorpion players, good Panny players, the hardened tracks aren't going to get hit too often. But if you're in, what I found is, if you're in, say, a Mastodon fight, you fight another Mastodon, especially in Clan Wars, where you might not be able to land a perfect shot on the guns, for example, like that. Sometimes a Mastodon might take a shot, he might just whiff it a bit. He might aim a little bit too low, in which case the hardened track just took that shot for you, which is really nice. As you can see, I'm smacking the Mastodon straight away, and actually, the space armor stays there. Mastodons die when their health runs out. So. How many shots was that? 8? 9? 9 shots to strip. And even after that, you've got a carbine, so you can just bump into people. Very nice. Out of curiosity. So I took, what was it, 9 shots? So let's try. I'm just going to test how many shots, say, this thing can. I think this has an inverter as well, this Bastion. What about 14? I think it's surprising more. I thought that was something to be honest. Does this thing have a vertigo? That is good. Yeah. Bear in mind though, in a Mastodon fight you would get 30% damage buff from that. And if you're fighting a, so the reason that I'm not running things like this, for example, is mostly the leg issue, but also because of things like, well, destructors as well. You got destructors in the meta, this will absolutely annihilate this. But you've got all of the damage on the cab is a good thing in a sense, but once that's heated, you can, there's not really spaced armor on it, so once you get that heated, it kind of screws with it. So look. What was I going to test? Oh. I had a good idea in my head. I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you're fighting a Bastion, go for the legs. think I can do that better. Yeah, once he's like that, you can just... It's a good build, the Bastions, but this is better, in my opinion. What do we do? So yeah, that's the build. I hope it works out for everyone and it helps. So, GG's, thanks.